So, hello to our friends online. Thank you so much for joining us. It is so incredible to be here at the Talmud Lunch and Learn and to see so many beautiful faces here, some with the goatee and some without. Well, for those of you online, you have no idea what we're talking about. You have to be here, right, to know what we're talking about. So, for that, my friends, every Friday at 12 o'clock, Talmud Lunch and Learn, delicious food provided by Ed. Every week. This week is pizza, and I'm very excited for the Shabbos to take a little break from the week, and then I have about 10 minutes to breathe, and then tomorrow morning, of course, we have our prayer class at Congregation Beth Rambam at 10 o'clock. So I look forward to seeing all y'all there. Till then, we want to share a quick Dvar Torah. Yeah, it's back to 10 o'clock because they changed the clock. They changed the time. Okay. We see that the hand of God is always hidden. We can't walk into a room, pay a membership fee, $20, and let me go sit down with God and talk to Him. Let me see Him. Let me just consult with Him, ask Him. Always the presence of God is veiled through nature. It's veiled through other dimensions of the world that it's very difficult to actually point your finger and say, here. This week's Parsha, we talk about everything that was going on in the tabernacle, the offerings, the smoke. You know that there was a pillar of smoke that would go up from the altar all the way to the heavens, and it wouldn't sway even when it was windy. That pillar of smoke would go all the way up into the heavens. There were 10 miracles our sages enumerate that happened every single day in the temple. It didn't smell, even though there was a lot of blood there. There were no flies in the temple. There was blood from the offerings. Yeah. Right, that's the great place for flies to hang out. You go to a butcher shop, you know what I'm talking about. The temple, not a fly, not a smell, not an odor, nothing. And the pillar would be all the way straight up to the heavens. So seemingly there are many people who think that, if I can't see God, then there must not be God. There was once a professor who said that, and his young student says to him, oh, really? There's no God because you can't see Him? He says, well, you don't have any brains. He says, excuse me? He says, I can't see it. If I can't see your brains, you must not have it. So we all know that it's... Where do we see the hand of Hashem? We see the hand of Hashem in the way Mordechai and Esther wrote the Megillah, the book of Esther. Over there we see the hand of Hashem. If it would have been written in a different way, in a non-revealing way, it would seem to be that there's just one coincidence after another coincidence after another coincidence, and that's just the way it is. But because they wrote it with a understanding that we need to see the hand of Hashem, we need to see how the world is not a construction of happenstance, but rather the world is all perfectly molded by the Almighty. This happens, and this happens, and this happens, and it puts together a beautiful tapestry of existence. All of us in our lives, we have things that happen to us, and we have no idea why they happened. Why did it happen to me? Why did I lose my job? Why did you fire me? Why did I need to be in that car crash? All of these instances that are anomalies, that are question marks, there's an answer to them. And the answer is, it's part of a big picture. And if you look carefully, you'll see the reasoning behind it. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But if you look hard enough, you'll be able to find it. There is no happenstance in the world. God works through hidden, mysterious ways and is always there. He's always there. And the more we search for it, the more we'll see it. So, we have this idea of modesty. I have this idea of modesty. Where does modesty come from? Usually people think of modesty as the way we dress. And we mentioned this yesterday in our Chumash class. It all has to do with how I dress. In a hidden way, so to speak, to not not present things that are private. Well, that's not necessarily the only aspect of modesty. Modesty is in the way we talk. Modesty is in the way we act. Modesty is in the way we walk. And of course, modesty is in the way we dress. But even more than all of those is in the way we think. We have to think modestly. We have to understand that modesty is putting things in the perspective that they need to be in. That's what modesty is. It's in the right perspective. In the right place, there's a right time. Right? In the right place, at the right time, it's called, I'll give you an example of what would be a lack of modesty. The halacha tells us that if everybody stands, don't sit. If everybody sits, don't stand. Now, let me ask you. We all know there are people, they call them these hijabs, right? They cover everything except for their eyes. In a world where people don't walk around like that, that's not modesty, because that only calls attention. Right? When you stand out, that's not modesty. Modesty, by definition, is that you're not noticed. You're not noticed. God, how does He operate in this world? Not in a way that stands out. We don't have miracles going on around us every single day. If we did, God would be standing out. So how does God perform those miracles? It's all embedded. It's all within. You don't even realize it. Modesty doesn't mean that you walk on the beach. You walk on the beach with your suit and tie. That's not either modest. You're standing out. Now, perhaps that's not a proper place for a person to be. That's a different discussion, right? A person has to know where and when and how. But standing out is immodest. When we're able to do an act of kindness, an act of charity. Right, the question was asked yesterday, well, what is about all those people who have signs on the buildings named, the Goldstein building, right? By the way, if anybody wants to have their name on the Torch Center, you're welcome anytime. Let me know, right? But we'll talk about modesty after that, right? But the truth is that when people do it, we don't know what the intention is. Many times it could be of modest intentions. Is that they want to encourage other people. They want other people to be encouraged to give. They want other people to be encouraged to be supportive, to be generous. That could be a motive. It could be a good motive. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it could be for legal reasons that they have to be recognized. Because if it's coming from a company, the company needs to be recognized for tax purposes. That's a different thing. But to be a person who's looking for that, to stand out, that's immodest. God always performs His actions with modesty. And what the Torah tells us is walk in modesty with Hashem. Hatzne lechet im Hashem Elokecha. God already is modest. God already is embedded in creation, not standing out. Walk together with God in modesty. So to my dear friends online, thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank our photographer, our in-house photographer right behind me, Rabbi Johnny.
Just now my phone decides to stop working.
And I want to wish you all a good Shabbos. Thank you for joining us. And now we're going to continue with our regular Talmud class. You're all welcome to join us every Friday at 12 o'clock. Lunch is served. Thank you and have a wonderful Shabbos.